Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that literally powers our entire lives, electricity. There are some really big changes being proposed for India's electricity rules, and we're going to break down what it could all mean for you, the consumer.
So let me just start with a question. Have you ever been so fed up with a power cut or maybe a bill that makes absolutely no sense that you just wished you could, well, fire your electricity company? Just switch them out like you would a bad mobile plan.
Well, believe it or not, that idea might not be so out there. India is looking at some major updates called the Electricity Amendment 2025. And a consumer watch group, the Citizen Consumer and Civic Action Group, or CAG, they've jumped in with some really powerful ideas. It's all about modernizing the whole system. And their main goal? To put the power, quite literally, back in your hands.
So what's the first huge idea at the core of all this? It really all boils down to one simple but game-changing concept: your right to choose.
Think about it. Right now, most of us are just stuck with one provider. That's it, no options. But what's being proposed is a totally different future, one where you have a legal right to choose who you buy your electricity from. And this isn't some radical new experiment. Countries like the UK and Australia have been doing this for a while, and it often leads to better service and, you guessed it, more competitive prices.
And look, this isn't just a vague wish. CAG has actually drafted the specific legal language to make this happen. It would make choice a fundamental right for you as a consumer. It means any licensed company in your area would have to serve you if you ask them to. It's all about creating real, actual competition.
Okay, so having a choice is great. But what good is that choice if trying to actually switch providers is a total nightmare of paperwork and delays, right? Well, that brings us to the second key point, the right to switch.
The idea is to make the whole process simple and, importantly, fast. You'd apply to a new company, and boom, the switch should be done in under 30 days, usually for free. Now, to put that in perspective, in the UK, a switch takes just 5 working days. In Australia, it can be as fast as 2. The whole point is to make competition easy and accessible for everyone.
Choice is good, speed is great. Well, let's be real. For most of us, the bottom line is what it costs, and this is a huge one. This next section is all about putting safeguards in place to protect your wallet while all this is happening. Let's talk about a term you might not know, but you've probably felt: tariff shock. It's that awful moment when you open your electricity bill and your jaw just hits the floor because it's suddenly way, way higher. This can actually lead to something called energy poverty, where families have to choose between paying for electricity and buying other essentials. It's a really serious issue.
So how do you stop that from happening? Well, the proposal gets right to the point. It basically tells the Regulatory Commission that they have to protect consumers, especially households and farmers, from these sudden, shocking price hikes. You can think of it like a built-in safety valve to make sure any price changes are gradual and manageable. So the plan really comes down to 3 main strategies. First, guarantee a basic lifeline amount of subsidized power for essential needs. Second, give any subsidies directly to people so it's clear and transparent. And third, this one is so simple but so important, give everyone at least 30 days notice before a price change. No more surprise bills, period. And these aren't just ideas pulled out of thin air. They're already working in other parts of the world. The UK gives discounts right on the bill for people who need it most. California has a program that slashes bills for low-income families. Even Sweden has given direct cash support when prices spiked. The point is, there are proven models out there to protect consumers.
Let's just hang on that California example for a second. A 35% discount. For a family that's trying to make ends meet, that isn't just a little help, that is a massive, life-changing amount of support. It just goes to show how impactful these kinds of programs can be when they're done right.
All right, on to our final big theme, and this one is absolutely critical, especially for a country as diverse as India. It's all about making sure the system is fair for everybody.
See, whenever you introduce competition, you run the risk of something called cherry picking. It's exactly what it sounds like. New companies might only want to serve the easy, profitable customers, like big businesses in the city center or wealthy neighborhoods, while totally ignoring rural areas or low-income households. That's not real competition. That's just avoiding responsibility.
So what's the protection against this? It's called a universal service obligation. And it's a simple rule. If you get a license to sell electricity in an area, you have to serve everyone in that area, no exceptions. From a tiny village to a giant skyscraper, you can't discriminate.
And here's the legal muscle to back that promise up. This provision writes non-discrimination into the law. It's designed to make absolutely sure that a competitive market doesn't leave the most vulnerable people behind, because access to electricity has to be a universal right, not just a perk for the profitable.
So, let's pull all of this together. We've talked about choice, switching, affordability, and fairness. What does all this mean for the future of your power? What's the big picture? When you boil it all down, the goal here is to fundamentally change your relationship with your electricity provider. It's about moving you from being a captive ratepayer, where you just have to pay whatever bill shows up, to being a truly empowered consumer, someone who has choices, protections, and a real voice in the whole process.
And that really brings us to our final thought. As we move deeper into a future where everything from our cars to our cooking is going to be electric, the stakes here are only going to get higher. So we'll leave you with this to chew on. In that all-electric future, what rights do you think are absolutely non-negotiable? What does being an empowered energy consumer truly mean to you?